to an all new episode of It's Just 10 Minutes. I'm your host, Mary Frazier, and as we go through life, there will be times when we will experience brokenness. The cares and pressures of life can leave us cracked and broken. And so today, all I ask for is 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes to encourage you, 10 minutes to help you start the process of putting your life back together. And now, it's just 10 minutes.
The great John Mayer, a few years ago, released an album that had this song on it. The song is called In Repair. And in the song, John tells the story of a man who is struggling with the pain of heartbreak. He's broken and he has deemed himself to be in repair. All of us, if we're honest, have experienced the pain of being broken. Whether it's a broken heart like the guy in the song, or an emotional break, or a mental break, we have all experienced brokenness. And perhaps your brokenness stemmed from a romantic relationship that fell apart, or a marriage that has been dissolved, the loss of a loved one, or a friendship that has crumbled, or separation and turmoil within your family. Or maybe your brokenness stemmed from a dream that has turned into your worst nightmare. Whatever the circumstance and situation of our brokenness, the pain of heartbreak, it can be paralyzing. It can freeze us in our tracks and cause us to stop living. So how do we counteract that? How do we move from being hurt to being healed? How do we get from in repair to repaired? There is a path. We tell alcoholics and addicts that the first step to recovery is to admit they have a problem. Well, the same holds true while dealing with the broken areas of our lives. We have to admit that we are broken, that the situation or circumstance of our lives, that they are broken. But that's easier said than done. Why? No one wants to admit that they are broken. Brokenness for some is perceived to be a weakened state, and no one wants to appear to be weak. For most of us, life is easier when we put on the facade that everything is okay. To admit that we are broken would mean making ourselves vulnerable. People would see us, and for some of us, we would rather put the mask on than let people see us in what is perceived to be that weakened state. Living with the facade that everything is okay just exacerbates our brokenness. It makes it worse. And then we look for ways to cope. And usually those coping mechanisms usually lead us to alcoholism and drug abuse. We've got to move past the feeling of any shame or embarrassment and admit that we've been hurt. Admit that we aren't whole. Admit that we are broken. For it's when we're able to admit that we are broken, then we can let ourselves, our hearts, they can break. And then the healing can begin. But as long as we choose to hold on to that brokenness, as long as we choose to play that game that we play sometimes with that facade, with those masks, we delay the healing process. For when we can admit that we are broken, then we can do the work. The work of healing is hard. Don't let anyone tell you that it isn't. It is. There's no quick fix. There's no set time limit. It takes as long as it takes. But in order for it to be long lasting, we have to be invested in doing the work. Now that work requires that we take off the mask because we can't heal what we refuse to see. It all goes back to admitting we were broken in the first place. So we have to remove the mask so we can deal with the issues at hand. And again, that puts us in a vulnerable state. But in the right environment, around the right people, we can take the mask off and do the work. Well, who are these right people? The right people are those that you feel safe with. The people that will allow you to be open, to be hurt, to be in pain, to be broken without judgment. When I finally decided to deal with my own brokenness, There were two people who made me feel safe. My two spiritual mothers provided an environment where I could pull the mask off and deal with all the layers underneath. In fact, it was one of my spiritual mothers and mentor who told me that it's okay to not be okay. That statement freed me in more ways than I could have ever imagined, because it meant I could let my heart break, knowing it was okay that I wasn't okay. I could pull the mask off and just not be okay. And that's the phrase I want to leave with you on today. It's okay to not be okay. For the right people, while they will allow you to be broken, they won't let you stay there. They'll allow you to have your moment of hurt and pain, and then they reach down and they pick you up, they dust you off, and they help you to start down the path to healing. Now, Mary, I thought you told us just a few minutes ago that it takes as long as it takes. There's no set time limit. There isn't. And it does. It takes as long as it takes. The healing part, that is, not the pity party. The pity party has a short time limit, and the right people that you have around you, they will not allow the party to go past its time. When the mask is off, then we can deal with what's underneath. We can peel the layers back one at a time, but that's hard, and I know. I've been there. The hardest thing I ever had to do was to look in the mirror and ask the Lord, Lord, show me. Now, before you make that request, you've got to be prepared, because he will answer. But it's the looking inward that scares us, and it's the looking inward that heals us. Now, it scares us because we just don't know what we're going to find. And usually when the Lord reveals yourself to you, he reveals things that you thought you were over, things that you thought you had come through, things that you never believed about yourself. But it's the part of the work that we must do to get from hurting to healed. It's in the taking of the broken areas of our lives. When we take those to God, he can help us with the layers. After all, he knows us. He created us. Yeah, he saw what they did to you. He heard what they said to you. But he also saw what you did to you. And he also has heard what you've said to yourself. He knows it all. And because he knows it, he can fix it. But don't discount the people that he sends you to help fix it. For there are times that in order to deal with our broken areas, that our mentors or our friends or acquaintances, they're just not enough. For our issue may go beyond their capabilities. Never be afraid to seek the help of a professional. Yes, I know prayer works. Yes, I know that there is power in prayer. But sometimes, my friends, the answer to your prayer is on the couch of a therapist. For they are someone who can give you some strategies and techniques and tools that you can use to navigate the road to healing. Being whole is God's intention for our lives. He created us as whole people. Life, it causes us to break and to fracture, and that requires us to move back towards our original state of wholeness. We have got to learn how to walk in our wholeness. The woman with the issue of blood, yeah, she may have crawled to get to Jesus, but when she left walking in her wholeness. Don't allow anyone to discount your road to wholeness. Don't let anyone discount the journey you've made to being healed. You can walk in your wholeness today. You can be whole because God has created us in wholeness. You do not have to live life in a defeated or a broken state. At the end of the song, In Repair, the man moves on from bemoaning his circumstance to realizing it's okay to not be okay. As a matter of fact, he ends the song on his own road to healing. I'm not together, but I'm getting there. I'm in repair. It's been 10 minutes. thank you for joining us on today for today's edition of It's Just 10 Minutes. Join us at the same time next week, every Thursday at 10 a.m. And I just want to thank everyone who has listened in this first month, and I pray that you have been blessed, that you have been encouraged, that you have been motivated and inspired. Please remember to check us out on the World Wide Web at www.itsjust10minutes.com. You can also catch this podcast on Blog Talk Radio, Spreaker, Podomatic, as well as Google and iTunes. And starting this week, you can check us out on YouTube. Just search for It's Just 10 Minutes. I thank you so much for listening. Join us next week. Can't wait.